y'all would welcome Mr. Rex Youngblood.
You guys and gals are gluttons for punishment. This is the third time I've had the privilege of speaking to such a distinguished audience. But I congratulate you also for still being here. Some of the civic clubs I've been in. Well, I was in the Lions Club in Long. In fact, I was president one year. And we referred to the Rotary Club as the old men's club. And it was at that time. We was young, full of being bigger vitality, buying glasses, sending kids to camps, doing a lot of other things. But something happened. We got old. And the Rotary Club, one of them really, they recruited. They put on a great rodeo there this weekend. And raised a lot of money, donated to a lot of charities down there. I'm not even sure my Lions Club still meets. I don't hear anything out of them anymore. So I congratulate y'all for the work that you do and still staying active and everything. So that's great. David, how did they handle this, getting speakers? Are you in charge for the whole year?
No,
just
I
one time?
just had one time
Yeah. And 2 out of those one times you called me.
That's right.
Yeah. Y'all want me to tell you how close he come to being stood up today? We had a technician that was gonna come sometime today between 8 and 5 o'clock. It don't take, it's pretty narrow. Okay? He showed up at 8:30. So, man, we'd like that early in the morning. Then I started thinking about all the things I could get done quickly. My wife and I were in the pickup, heading to Longview, and we said, wait a minute, this is Tuesday. That's how close you came. Usually she'll remember, this time I haven't remembered. Thankfully, I turned around. Appreciated the prayer a while ago. That was from Chance. Yeah, appreciate that. Short prayer, because it reminded me of a story that I was told by an older gentleman one time. They was having a meeting, probably at Lake Creek Church, and they called on Mr. Johnson to lead closing prayer. Mr. Johnson was one of these guys that when he did a prayer, he did a sermon. And he'd go on and on and on. And this must be him going right now. And so he hesitated there just for a second in his prayer. Somebody in the congregation said, "Amen." He said, "That's the word I was trying to think of." Anyway, like I told David and most of the Civic Club programs are a pretty mixed group of people, and so I try to talk about things that you might be interested in. And if you have any questions, you can make the program longer, or we're through. I won't have to wait on somebody to say amen. But hadn't it been a short summer?
Yeah.
Man, these are the coolest temperatures that I've seen at this time of the year in a long, long time. And it's having an effect on, not only on the pasture, the grass is not going. The little grass greened up over a month ago. You thought, boy, it's fixing to come and go. It's gonna be good. It's still sitting there right where it greened up with 50-degree and 45-degree nights. It's just not gonna grow. Now weeds, they do pretty good, especially if they're in your lawn. And my wife has had to fit over. Have any of you had lawn birdweed in your lawn? That's the little small furry looking thing that has those burrs on it that are real aggravating later in the summer. She hates those things, and she'll start spotting them around in the yard and just dig them up and throw them away. And I finally got her to go in and look at it on the computer and look at the recommendations. And of course, those recommendations pointed right back to me. I've been telling her, I said, I'll take care of them pre-emergence. I'll put out pre-emergence in the fall. If I think about it, I'll put it right out again in the spring. I'll take care of it. I didn't think about this. And our lawns got thinned out with the hot summer months, so they really came forward. But on weeds that you see in your yards this time of the year started growing last fall. As soon as you have cool nights in October and moisture, those things germinate up, they sit there, and then they come to life early in the year. So, a pre-emergence in early October is a good control method. And then if, for some of the weeds that you missed, if you want to be real sure you got them all, come back with a post-emergence spray in January, February, and they'll take care of the ones you missed. That's the one I didn't do, and she reminded me of the fact that I didn't do it. And for warm season grasses, pre-emergence there in late February, early March is a good idea. And that'll control it. Or you can do like I do, just admire the green yard that's growing out there. It has at a distance and it looks okay, because those weeds, they're gonna die pretty soon when it gets hot. Believe me, it will get hot soon, and that'll take care of it. When I think about that though, there was an older couple that, and a pretty well-to-do couple there in Longview, had a daughter. She was in her 40s, and she was gonna get married for the first time. And she wanted an outside wedding there in their house in the landscape. Well, they wanted their St. Augustine grass to look really, really good for this wedding that was coming up, I think in June. Sure it was June, all weddings are in June, right? And so they hired this professional lawn care fella, and he was professional, to kill all those winter weeds, all the weeds that were growing in their St. Augustine grass. And so anyhow, he did what he's supposed to do, and he was having disagreements with them, and so they agreed that he should come and get me to come out and look at the situation and say, you did the right thing, you did the wrong thing, or whatever. That's a great position to be in this kind of situation. You know, sometimes the truth hurts. So anyhow, I went out there and looked at the situation. I looked at the chemical that he had used. It was the right chemical to do the job that they wanted to do, which was kill the existing winter weeds, let's say. But there was a problem when he had done that. Ground was bare where those weeds had been that were, you know, making the yard look green. And so they were dissatisfied with that. So, make a long story short, they were satisfied with what I said. He was satisfied with what I said. He got fired before we could leave. So, sometimes if you do your job and do it right, you get in trouble. And he got in trouble. So, anyway, that was an interesting situation. Maintenance of the yards. How many of you have centipede lawns? Nobody? You do, right? Did you lose any of it this year? I don't know anybody that didn't, that had centipede yards. Our centipede grass survived where it had a little bit of shade. That's unusual. Usually the shade is detrimental to the lawn grass, but evidently it protected it from the heat. And we're in the reestablishment mode at our house. We're gonna seed part of it, we're gonna spray part of it. And this time next year, I hope to have a solid green centipede lawn. St. Augustine grass, I think it fared a little bit better through the drought last summer and all the heat than the centipede grass did, which is unusual because I always thought it was tougher than any of the other grasses. Of course, the middle grass, it'll survive almost anything but a shade. One more note on those winter weeds. I gave you two different options there. A lot of people like to use this weed and feed fertilizer. Any of you ever used that? Was you real happy with it? No, didn't think so. It will work to a degree, but the same chemical in that fertilizer that kills your winter weeds is gonna retard the root system of your lawn grass, your desirable grass. Because let's be honest with you, how is that chemical in your weed and feed going to determine the difference between the weed root, kill it, and not kill the root on your lawn grass? So I never have recommended it and wouldn't recommend it. Fertilization programs, centipede grass does not require much fertilizer. You can over fertilize centipede grass real easy, and that puts you in it puts the grass in a vulnerable situation. All other lawns, a spraying application of a 3-1-2 ratio fertilizer. That's the ratio that plants use, the three main elements, 15, 5, 10, something like that, in early April, and maybe a lighter application in the 1st of September, and that puts your grass into a good, healthy growing condition, growing into dormancy. You'll hear people talk about, winter fertilizer application, which is usually a 0, 5, 10, put phosphorus and potassium down. But for grass to take up any of those nutrients, it's got to have nitrogen there for leaf growth, so it can do the photosynthesis and grow. So stick with the 3-1-2 ratio on all of your fertilizations and stay away from the weed and feed. Insects in lawns, one thing that you've got to watch for is, of course, grubs that will show up early in the summer. I say early. Depends on when the gene bugs comes out, because grub worm is just a larval stage of the gene bug. Usually by the time you start seeing the damage, you know you've got the damage. It's too late to do anything about it, because the larvae have matured to a size that they're ready to pupate. They're up close to the surface of the ground. You can't put out enough insecticide to do anything about it. So you can put, if you've had a problem with it in the past, you can put a preventative out early that'll catch that larvae just right after it hatches out, which is going to be mid-summer most of the time. Other lawn pests, of course, you can watch for armyworms. Chinch bugs seem to show up in St. Augustine lawns more than any other, and you'll see a brown patch usually along the edge of the lawn. Don't look for the chinch bugs where you see the damage. Look for them around the margin of the damage, because they've already destroyed that ground base, and they're moving out for fresh territory. Sort of like hollows. Moles get to be a problem sometimes in lawn. I know they did on ours. Anybody else have mole problem?
Yeah.
Alright. Trapping is usually the recommended deal for moles. You'll see mole and gopher poison advertised in a lot of stores and everything. But a mole really is hard to poison because he's feeding on insects. He's not feeding on grains, roots and stuff like that. So I don't think poison grain, poison peanuts, I don't think they're really that effective on moles. How many of you have ever seen the movie Caddyshack? Y'all remember Caddyshack? Yeah. Well, I was having a real problem in our backyard. It slopes real sharply and moles were just crisscrossing. I put traps out, wasn't having much success or anything. So I said, I'm gonna put a stop to this. So I got my four-wheeler out, hooked up a rubber hose to the exhaust, ran it down into the runs, let that four-wheeler sit there for a couple hours, run. Mashed all the runs down next day. Believe you not, it worked. So, if you're having trouble with moles, check out the Caddyshack movie. It will work. It's the most effective thing in the world. And also remind you of a story. This really happened. This was had to be on a Friday afternoon. This man had been coming through Fort Worth, listening to Howard Garrett. Howard Garrett is graduated from Pittsburgh High School. He has a talk show. He is an organic person, so he doesn't use insecticides, pesticides, fungicides. Does a real good job on the show. And so he had been listening to Howard tell how to get rid of moles. And Howard was in the process of telling him how much urine, human urine, to mix with water and apply to the yard to get rid of the moles. But he got out of radio distance before he heard the details. The lady was calling and pestering me about what it was. What was that for? I said, I don't know. I don't listen to Howard. And he said, well, can't you call A&M and ask them? I said, well, we haven't got any researchers down there doing research on that right now. But he just wouldn't let it go. He just insisted. It sort of like a parent, Rick, that thinks, if he scores a touchdown, he's got a great athlete, drops the ball halfway to the goal line, and bad coach.
That's right.
So anyway, he just wouldn't give up. Finally, I told him, I said, all right, I'll tell you what you do. He said, everybody on his block was having a problem. I said, you go to a party at your house this week. And I said, you invite everybody to your house and don't serve anything to drink except beer and Kool-Aid. And put a lock on the bathroom doors and see if you don't get rid of your moles. Fortunately, it was Friday afternoon. He'd forgotten it late on Monday morning when you could call the county judge or somebody else, because I never heard from him anymore. But any questions about bonds? Hey, Steve.
So, I didn't understand what you said that killed all the centipede grass.
Heat. Heat.
Last summer's heat.
Yeah.
Okay.
I didn't water my grass like a lot of people do. I was yes, be miserly on my water. But, talking to some people that had good irrigation systems, they still took some losses.
I know right now, if you try to find sympathy grass, there's none available. The all the people that grows it are having a problem
Yeah.
getting it now.
What about seed? Have you shop for seeding?
Who?
Seed.
Seed, you can get seed,
Yeah.
you can still buy seed, but the sod is, I've heard two reasons. One is, like you said, the heat, but another problem is it's the wet, where they raise it, they can't get it out.
Yep, yeah, I think so.
One other question, Rick, I'm sorry. What about, I guess, mulch? In other words, when you mow your yard, should you rake it, or can you leave the cuttings there? Is that good or bad?
Leave the cuttings, because our soils are low in organic matter. That leaf blade that you cut off starts deteriorating before it hits the ground, really. That, forms a mulch there. It becomes part of incorporates itself with the soil sooner or later. Now, if you let your grass get too high before you mow it, and then you got a lot of clippings laying on top and shading out the grass, that's not a good thing. So, if you mow regularly, mow properly, collecting grass, don't bag it is our recommendation. We did a program on that in Longview one time, county-wide program, in fact. We went to all the civic clubs, scattered out, called the Don't Bag It program. Because what do? You bag the grass clippings, you set them out there beside the road, then somebody's gotta pick them up and take them to the landfill, that fills up the landfill. Doesn't do anybody any good. And, I think it was very effective. I saw a lot fewer bags on my street than I've seen before. There was a question.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not from around here. Where's the best place to buy a variety of grasses that, other than Lowe's, or, I mean, does anyone have, like in Longview or Tyler, that, because where I'm from, they have places that, they have like bins of different grasses. You can go get it by the pound. I haven't been able to find anything like that. Do you?
You know, I don't know where the best place to buy sod is.
Well, I'm looking for seed. I'm not.
Oh, you're looking for
seed?
Yeah, seed.
Okay, glad you brought that.
Centipede, it cooks.
Yeah.
Cooks.
This would probably be the best place in, Gilmer. Hills may have also.
What about putting out lime?
Lime. You know, we used to recommend soil tests for your yard to see if you need lime. Save that $10 and just spend it on lime, because with these East Texas soils, you can't put out too much lime.
Anytime?
Anytime. Yeah, anytime. It doesn't make any difference.
What about stickers?
Talk about these lawn bird weed. Okay, I've been lectured on that quite a bit here in the last week by my wife. They were bad, she got them under control. I thought I had them under control. But, that little sticker germinates early in the fall. It germinates in October, once you get rains and cooler nights. So, get your pre-emergence down into September, 1st of October. That will take care of a lot. Then, in January, when your lawn grass is dormant, use a post-emergence spray that has 2,4-D in it or something like that. That's gonna kill all the rest of the, what we call winter weeds. And it'll kill the rest of those lawn weeds.
I have one more question about that. Can it be transferred from, like, if we mowed the lawn here and then somebody went to my office and mowed the lawn, can it be transferred by?
Sure can. You pick up them little burrs on and I've been given credit for that, mowing the grass down around the dog pens and then going and mowing up in the front yard. my wife has told me many times, she's never seen a sticker on the lawnmower wheels, but she says, you're bringing those things up from down around the barn, I said, don't be, to my lawn, it's her lawn. So, anyway, yeah, Bill?
Rex, years ago, I found an excellent, thing to use to kill ants, but the EPA mixed it. What's the best thing available now to kill ants?
Orthene. Now, saying that, Orthene is gonna be sold as, what are some of the brands it's sold under? No, Amdro is a baby, and that's good for fire ants also.
Acephate. Acetate's active ingredient in it, so
Yeah.
it's got acetate on it.
Yeah, and, it's sold under some other brand names. I think it's the same thing that's in, termite.
There's a brand out now, it's really good, I've been using it, and I've been very good, look, called Extinguish.
Is that a bait or a direct contact?
You just pour it on the mound and they're gone.
That's direct.
Yes, correct. Extinguish. Extinguish, it's car fire, that's what it's real.
Baits used, I've had them work real good for me. I've had them work in the cemetery. I just take a cedar, fill my cedar up with it, go over the entire lawn, and then come back a couple of weeks later and treat the mounds and they're still active. Who's keeping time? We're running, a hot clock, we're running out of time. Guys, I've had fun today. Thanks for lunch. Thanks for inviting me back. Hopefully you'll, be able to get some distinguished speakers later on. We don't have to be every 3 years. Thank you.